Hello, Jodi here from Joli Natural Skincare, and today I'm going to make whipped soap. So I have here some coconut and shea butter that I have previously melted and then chilled until it's this thick paste consistency, and now I'm going to whip it till it's nice and white and fluffy. Lighter, that's what we want. Okay, here it is, looking all nice and fluffy. Now we add the liquid oils with a fragrance inside. So you blend this until soft peaks form. And then we slowly add our water and lye solution, which has been cooled down. And you always have vinegar on hand whenever you're working with lye, because if you get any on your skin or anything like that, you just pour the vinegar on and it neutralizes it, because this is quite a toxic and potent ingredient in here. Alright, so I'm going to turn the blender back on and start adding the lye. Okay, so this is the soap holding its shape. So I'm going to go ahead and start the next. A light blue base with a red line and then white on top, although it's kind of gone this creamy yellow colour. And I want majority blue, so I'll put some blue in here, or some soap in there, and we'll play with some colours and see how we go. And I only wanted a thin layer of the red. I think I'll use more to make the blue. I kind of want majority blue, a little bit of red, and then this one on top. I had sort of planned on doing some decals, like sour things on top, but I don't know if this will be hard enough to actually set as a flower. Doesn't look like it will. I've got this blue here, which is quite dark, but I'm hoping that when I add it to the lighter colour, it'll be lighter. Here we go. I'll add it in dribs and drabs. Soft, which is good. And the blue I used was this mica colour there, making the colour that it starts with is much darker than the colour that you finish with. For example, I made this soap and I used red clay, and you can see it's come out a sort of a beigey red colour, so it hasn't come out that deep red clay colour. Now that was one little scoop of mica, so I'm going to try another scoop, see if I can get it to be more blue. Okay, so I've had to play around with colours. I added some zinc to this to make it whiter, which hasn't worked. I added lots of red to this, but it just came out this kind of musty sort of red colour. And the blue, it's not quite what I want, but what I want to do also is try to do some patterns. Okay, so I've had to play around with colours. I added some zinc to this to make it whiter, which hasn't worked, it's still yellow. I added lots of red to this, but it just came out this kind of musty sort of red colour. And the blue, it's not quite what I want, but it's blue, kind of grey blue. But anyway, let's progress. So what I want to do also is, okay, so I've had to play around with colours. I added some zinc to this to make it whiter, which hasn't worked, it's still yellow. I added lots of red to this, but it just came out this kind of musty sort of red colour. And the blue, it's not quite what I want, but it's blue, kind of grey blue. But anyway, let's progress. So what I want to do also is try to do some patterns on top. So I'll put some of the soap in here. Some of the red soap in here. And the good thing is it's getting harder. It's starting to set a little bit. Which is good, because that was what I was worried about, that it wouldn't be hard enough to put in the mould or make flowers out of. Okay, so this is my homemade mould. I'm going to start with the blue layer first. Kind of reminds me of gunmetal grey. Not at all the colour I was going for, but alas, it is what it is. Next we'll go in with the red. It's funny because I had a vision of this soap and of course it isn't at all how I imagined. But that's the beauty about soap making. You get to kind of have a play around and see what you get. And I used to soap make more, but I found that my soaps didn't sell. Sat on the shelf for a long time. But it used a lot of my main ingredients for the skincare. And so it was kind of, in a sense, a waste, because the ingredients that I could be using for my skincare were being used in the soap, and the soaps weren't selling. Great for us at home because we have 50 billion bars that we could use. That's somewhat shattering on the ego. Okay, so this is how it's looking so far. Now I've got to try and spread this layer out over the top of the grey. I'm not really sure they suit each other, these two colours, but again, it is what it is. Okay, now we're going in with the final layer, which is the cream. The fragrance I've gone with today is called Buttercream Frosting, and it actually reminds me of Bailey's, the drink. Now I'm not sure what I should call this soap. If you have any name suggestions, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what your suggestions are. The volume isn't my usual volume either. When I make my standard recipe, as this is somebody else's recipe, mine is usually more full. This has come out quite low inside the mould. One thing that's always fun after making soap is washing the dishes and watching it all lather up. It's really quite cool. It reminds me of vanilla slice. Okay, now I'm going to try and do some decorating. I'm not particularly good at this, so wish me luck. Alright, so far, so good. Well, they at least look like flowers. That's a good start. And now the clash of gunmetal grey. Almost has a metallic look to it. So it's actually holding up better than I thought it would. Fudged it. And now I want to finish with some gold glitter. Oops. What do you think? Bit special? And of course, when it's ready for cutting, we'll come back and we'll take a look. Okay, so the soap has been curing now for about 30 hours. So I've taken the end off. And I'll give you a look. You can see it's quite a small bar. Next time I make it, I would use double the amount because this bar is not big enough to call a bar per se. So let us cut one and see what it looks like. Oh, and by the way, you can see the gunmetal grey has turned a nice sort of purple colour, so that's interesting. So this mould itself is set up in a way that I can use it to cut as well. So what I do is I remove the paper and put it back in the mould. And then it's set up so that each piece that is cut will be exactly this thick. So that's how it's looking. It's sort of what I had in mind. The line I imagined was straighter, but that's all right. So it's a little bit crumbly. So I'm going to wait an extra day before cutting the rest. But there you go, this is how it's turned out. Not as terrible as I thought it would. It's just a little bit too little to call a bar. But anyway, as I say, leave a comment below and let me know what you think I should call this. And as always, thank you so much for watching.